Hey, hi, hello, how's everyone doing today or tonight, whatever it is, wherever you are? So today's video is going to be kind of things I wish I would have known learning acrylic and acrylic application. I'm going to show how I do acrylic application, the tools I use, the products I use, and kind of just go over general knowledge that I've learned over the last several years of doing this. And as always, this is just what works for me and how I do things. If you do things differently and it works, that's amazing. Let me know what works for you. And if you take anything away from this video, definitely let me know down in the comments. I love hearing from you guys and hearing that maybe something kind of made things click a little differently or made things a little bit easier. I appreciate all of you guys, and I do know I want to address something else real quick. I do have a lot of new subscribers, and if you're just here watching, this is a port wine stain birthmark. No, I didn't get hurt. No, I didn't get my ass beat. Hopefully, it doesn't bother you too much because I love it. So I just wanted to address that because I have been getting some comments on it lately. So don't worry about me. I'm great. Yeah. Hopefully you guys like the video. Let me know what you think. And as always, I appreciate you. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys. All right, you beautiful MFers. Let's get into this, shall we? So this is going to be the little kind of section about where I talk about things. So there are a couple of things that I think are very important if you're just learning how to do acrylic or you're just finding an interest in doing it. That you should know about, like your monomer and your acrylic powder, or your polymer. These are things, like I said, I wish I would have known when I was starting out or learning, that I wish that somebody would have taken a little bit more time and kind of explained these things to me. So if you see a powder that says MMA, don't get freaked out about it. It should say PMMA because it's a polymer. So you have PMMA and you have PEMA. And so your PMMA polymers or powders are made with MMA, and then your PEMA powders are made with EMA. A lot of the times companies will mix the two just because it's cheaper. There are companies that do make MMA free powders. So your PMMA is polymethyl methacrylate, and then your PEMA is polyethyl methacrylate. And so, like I said before, it's just what they're made with. And from my understanding, the process in which they're made kind of inactivates the MMA in there. So don't be too worried about it. And if you have like an allergy to it, kind of sway more towards PEMA. So I do have some powders over here that I'll show, but I kind of want to, I guess, explain a little bit of how the polymer, the powder is made. And again, if I'm wrong about any of this, let me know. Or if I've kind of missed something that you think is important, absolutely let me know down in the comments. So from my understanding, what I can remember is they take either the MMA or the EMA and put it, in their vat or, their mixing bowl, whatever they're, mixing these batches of chemicals in. So they take the MMA or the EMA, add it in there, and then they add water to dilute the MMA. We're just going to stick with MMA for right now, so I don't have to keep saying both of them. And because MMA is hydrophobic, it kind of starts splitting up, kind of like oil does, starts splitting up, and then it kind of floats to the surface of the water, kind of just dilutes it a little bit, and then they start mixing it, right? And as they're mixing it, they add like your UV inhibitors, your stabilizers, and your catalyst. And your catalyst is going to be benzoyl peroxide. And as that's mixing, right, they start mixing it rapidly, and it forms little tiny beads. And these little tiny beads are actually coated in those chemicals. So they're coated in the benzoyl peroxide, the UV inhibitors, the stabilizers, and then it's drained, dried, and milled, and then you add your pigments and your glitters or whatever else you want to add into there. And so your UV inhibitors help with yellowing, and then your stabilizers are going to help with, what is it, like your polymerization, your like the smell, and then also with yellowing as well, I believe. So that's just kind of like a simplified explanation of how the polymer is made. So again, if you see one that says MMA, don't be freaked out. It's completely normal. So I'll show you here. I have a couple different brands here. So we'll start out with Kiara Sky. So this one, it says MMA free. So this is gonna be polyethyl methacrylate. So that's awesome. Kiara Sky is MMA free. And then the other one that I have that's MMA free is STG. This is a great brand. I have a bunch of this, but you can see here polyethyl methacrylate. So another good one if you want to kind of steer more towards, you know, the PEMA. And then let's see, this is just a cheapy one that I got off of Amazon. And so here you can see it says polyethyl methacrylate and then polymethyl methacrylate. So it's actually a mix of both, because like I said, it's more affordable to do that instead of all, you know, PEMA. So that one, I got this, it was dirt cheap and I wanted to try it, so I'm not sure how this is. Let's see. And I have D&D here. This one is polymethyl methacrylate. And then you got your benzoyl peroxide, your pigments. So there's that one. That one's just PMMA. And then we got Young Nails here. So here we got polyethyl methacrylate and polymethyl methacrylate. So here's that one. And we got, what we got? Mia Secret. Mia Secret is, oh, right here. Polyethyl and polymethyl. So it's a mix. Then we got Joya Mia, which I want to say Joya Mia is MMA free also. But this might not be the one that's MMA free. I'll have to look it up. Where are the ingredients at? Oh, right here. Acrylate, copolymer, benzoyl peroxide. So I'll have to look this one up because it doesn't say. So I'll look that one up. I have OPI here, used and abused little package here, our container. So this one is polyethyl and polymethyl. So this one is a mix. And then we have not polished here, which not polished says methacrylate polymers. So I'll have to look this one up also. Oh, and then I have Nina's here too, which this is polyethyl and polymethyl methacrylate. So another good one, very good one. They just started selling this on Amazon, which is cool. I paid a lot more for it when I bought it because it was not on Amazon. So that's the polymer part of it. And then the other important thing to know about your powders, your polymers, is that there are different setting speeds of powders. So don't go buying some or buying a bunch of different ones thinking they're all going to set the same, because they absolutely will not. So you have medium setting acrylic and then you have fast setting acrylic. So your medium setting acrylic is going to set, I want to say it's like 3, it's going to start setting. Doesn't mean it's going to be fully set. So it's going to start setting within, I want to say 3 to 5 minutes, just like a medium setting monomer would. And then your fast setting powders are going to start setting in 2 minutes or less, I believe. Again, if I'm wrong about any of this, let me know. So keep that in mind when going for different, you know, acrylics. So like here, this is a good example. So let me get out. Okay, so here's Young Nails. You have Speed Clear, and then you have Core Clear. This is going to be their fast setting acrylic speed. This is going to be their medium setting. So if you want one that sets a little bit slower, go for the core powders. Any of the core powders are going to be their medium setting acrylic. Any of their speed acrylic is going to be their fast setting acrylic. So this is going to set up a lot faster than this is going to. So as with anything, you know, when you go to buy it, just do a little bit of research. Make sure that you're, you know, kind of looking at that. If you don't know that about your powders, they are not all the same. I don't care who says what. They're just not, you know. And then the same goes for your monomers. So your monomers, you have 3 different setting speeds. You have slow setting, medium, and fast, or your competition monomers. So your slow setting ones are going to be all low odor or odorless monomers, and those, they're slow setting, so they're going to take anywhere from 5 to up to 35 minutes to start setting and set, right? So that's a long time. So those are the ones that I suggest if you're just starting out, like just learning, just picking up an interest in acrylic, to start out with one of those slower setting ones, because they're going to give you that time to be able to, you know, pick up a bead and then you know, put it on the nail and then kind of play with it a little bit, see how it moves, all of that. So those are the ones I would go with. I would go with a slow setting monomer and a medium setting polymer or powder. And then once you get a little more comfortable, I would swap up to a medium setting monomer and then a medium setting powder, and then kind of go up from there. So your slow setting ones are going to be 5, like I said, 5 to anywhere from 5 to 35 minutes. And then your medium, you get this huge time difference, right? So you go from 5 to 35 minutes, and then your medium monomers are going to start setting anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And then your competition or your fast setting monomers are going to be 60 seconds or less. So I don't mess around with fast setting or competition monomer. It's not something I need time to work with my monomer, or I mean with my acrylic. I always have. I have no shame in that. I'm not embarrassed about that, anything like that. So I use a medium setting monomer and a medium setting powder. I do keep very few fast setting powders, but for the most part, I like a medium setting monomer with a medium setting powder. It gives me plenty of time to actually work. If I do a big bead, I can work it all the way down the nail without it drying out. So some of your brands for like your medium setting monomer, or sorry, your low odor or odorless monomer is going to be, I know Mia Secret has an odorless. I know Young Nails just not too long ago came out with a low odor one. I know Joya Mia has an odorless. There's a lot, so you can, you know, just look for an odorless or low odor monomer. And then your medium setting, you have a ton of medium setting monomers. You got like Not Polish, Young Nails, NDS, IBD, C&D has a good medium setting one, Easy Flow, Gaudy Nails. There's a ton out there. So it's like I said, just, you know, do a little bit of research and find out what the setting speed is. Most of the time, 99% of the time, if you go into the description of something, of a product, it's going to tell you, you know, our medium setting monomer is perfect for blah blah blah. My favorites, my two favorites are NDS and Young Nails. 99% of the time I use Young Nails just because I haven't found a powder that it does not work well with. Same goes for NDS. This one that I have here, right here. Love, love, love NDS, or Nail Dad. So, trying to think if I've forgotten anything. Did I forget anything? I don't think I've forgotten anything about this stuff. So, the other important thing that I wish somebody would have explained to me is just how important a good brush is when doing acrylic. A good brush will actually make application so much easier and so much less frustrating. So I know there's 100% Kolinsky, there's a mix, and then there's fully synthetic. So I only use 100% Kolinsky brushes, and that's just personal preference. I know, like, for those of you that would like a vegan brush, I know American Nails has a good synthetic brush. For me, in my opinion, synthetic brushes, acrylic sticks in them very, very easily, so you're constantly having to clean, and then when your acrylic gets stuck in your brush is when it gets really frustrating, because then you can't pick up a good bead or lay it down because your product is just sticking to your brush. So it just makes it super frustrating for me. So I only use 100% Kolinsky brushes. So here, I'll show. Let's see, here's two right here. So here's my Shine Chance size 14, and then this is the Chon Legend size 14. Both are amazing brushes. This one, you can see the Shine Chance is just a little bit smaller, but that doesn't bother me, you know. It doesn't bother me at all. This is a $50 brush. This one is a $15 brush. So you can get beautiful brushes that are inexpensive. So I wish I would have had something like this when I was just starting out, because I was one that didn't know how important a good tool was. So this one is also amazing. I love this brush. It is an investment, obviously. It's $50, but if you take care of your brushes, they will last you years. So for those of you on a smaller budget, there are beautiful options, and then those that really can splurge a little bit, you have your 777s, you have your EX brushes, you have like Kira Sky brushes, not polished, all of the big boys, but there are absolutely beautiful options for those of you that don't have that much money. You can still have really nice products. This one, honestly, I use more than I use this one, so just keep that in mind. These ones I've been using for like 2.5 years now, I think, and just the weight difference in these is crazy, because this is just plastic, so that the handle doesn't get messed up or have the monomer eat away anything. So this brush is incredibly light, like incredibly light. This one is weighted. This is rosewood, and then this is solid rosewood, so it's got weight to it. It feels nice in my hand. So I'll use both of these with my application just to show you, the difference. And it really isn't a whole lot of difference. This one, I can pick up a bigger bead with this one, but I mean, it's all personal preference, honestly. And then another thing to know is, so with a smaller brush, you pick up smaller beads. With a bigger brush, you're gonna pick up bigger beads. So if you want a faster application, like faster as in like less beads, you would want to work your way towards using a bigger brush. But if you're more comfortable with a smaller brush, that's absolutely okay too. Don't worry about how many beads it takes you to do a nail. That's also the other thing that I wish that somebody kind of would have, you know, spent a little more time telling me not to worry so much about that part of it. You know, I was never really in a rush or had to be in a rush where I needed time to be a huge thing for me. So it just would have made learning such a smoother process for me, had I not been so worried about that. You know, worry about your structure, worry about, you know, a good, clean, smooth application, and the rest of it will follow. So don't stress yourself out about it. Play, have fun with it. You know, that's really the most important part, is knowing your supplies, your products, your tools, and then having fun with it, because having fun is when we really learn the most. We kind of absorb the most when we're having a good time doing whatever we're doing. So I did apply or put on some top coat, because I am going to peel these off, because I'm not really doing a design, I'm just laying acrylic. So I'm going to put some tips on, and then I'll be back and show you. I do have a couple of these two monomers. To me are fast setting monomers. This one I really try not to use this one anymore, and that's only because the smell of it really upsets my stomach. It's just so sweet smelling. Outside of that, it works really well. It's just the smell for me. I cannot do it. And then this one, so I'll show you the difference between like a medium setting monomer and a medium setting powder. So I'll show you the difference between these two, and then I'll show you the difference between these two. So you got a fast setting. To me, this is a faster setting monomer with a fast setting powder, just so you can see the difference in me being able to, you know, cover almost an entire nail with one bead versus having to do many smaller beads. So let me apply my tips, and then I will be back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, and everyone in between. So get two of these out so that I can do the kind of faster setting one in one, and then the medium setting one in another. So I think I'm gonna do medium first. That way I can kind of show what I want to show. Make sure. So I'm gonna put a little bit in here. That's more than a little bit, but whatever. So then we will take, I'll show you also, because like your pigmented powders take a little bit longer to set up too. So I'll do a couple with the core clear just to show, and then get some more of that. All right. So what I do, what's also important is, so when you get a new brush, also, actually let me see, I think I have a new one. It's important to get out, all the starch or the glue that they use when they're shipped. So they're always kind of hard like this to keep them in shape when they're shipping. So I always make sure you break it, right? Break it. And kind of so you can see here. Let me zoom in here. See if you guys can see kind of all that residue right there that's on the tip of this, right? So I'll take it and kind of break it like this, and then almost just lightly twist it in my fingers to try and get as much of that off as I can. And kind of just do this for a few minutes and get off as much as I can. And I know you're like, oh my gosh, you're ruining that brush, but you're not. Actually, you're not, because it's gonna shape. It's gonna go back into the shape as soon as you dip it in your monomer. So if you get it and you're like, you do this and you're like, oh my gosh, that looks like crap, it's completely normal. You're gonna have bristles kind of sticking out, looks puffy, because you just broke up that seal. So don't judge anything yet until you get it in your monomer. So try and go through the bristles to get out that sealant, that gluey, whatever it is. And because Kolinsky is a natural hair, sometimes they are a little bit like, kind of wonky. Just wait until you dip it in your monomer for the first time, and then you can, you'll be able to tell. Also, say these bristles here don't go back into shape once I dip it into my monomer, don't just pull them straight out, because if you do that, you're actually creating kind of room in your ferrule for the other bristles to slightly move around. I know it seems like minute, but you always want to take any hair or bristle that you're gonna take off and pull it out. I'll show you if I have one that needs to come off, but take it, pull it out, and break it off right at the metal, the ferrule right here. That way you leave it, the end in here, so that the other bristles don't move around, because the more you use your brush, the more the bristles get trained to be in one spot. So don't ever pull them out. You're gonna have, one or two or three that kind of come out on their own, and that's normal. That's not you pulling them out. And usually they're just loose, like looser ones up here that, didn't already make it down into the ferrule when it got, glued in there. But so I'll go like this, because you're still gonna have some of that residue in your brush. So I'm gonna work both sides of this brush by fanning it. You see it? I'm fanning it out in my monomer, and I'm just kind of getting those bristles apart, and I'm gonna kind of nice and gently kind of rock it back and forth on the bottom of my dappen dish. I'm gonna do that a couple of times on each side. And then I'm going to dry it off let me scoot this, sorry. I'm gonna dry it off on both sides very nicely, right? I'm not on like this. And so where you can see where it's crimped here, this is just a very lightly crimped, but that's okay. I prefer it that way. Some brushes I do like heavily crimped, like the Sean Legend one. I crimped it heavy, just so that it would be a nice fan, or a nice fanned out brush. But so then I'm going to take and hold my brush like this, and I'm going to pull these bristles apart, because you'll be able to see, I'll focus, where there's still that glue or that starch left in the bristles, and you want to clean that completely out before you go into your acrylic. So you see how, like right here is a perfect example. See how these ones are sticking together here on this outside part? See that they're not like fanning out like these ones are right here. So these ones don't have any of that glue left on them still. But if you fan it like this and you have chunks still, that means that that glue stuff is still in those. So on both sides, here and here, I still have some of that glue in there. So I'm gonna just dip it back into my monomer and go side to side nice and gently. And then flip it over. Nice and gently. I'm not like, you know, pushing really hard. Just nice and gently, kind of rocking back and forth. And do this anytime you get a new brush. Because the powder will actually stick to that glue that's in the bristles. Glue, starch, whatever it is that they use. I'm not exactly sure, dang it, what one or what it is that they use. Nice and gently. Nice and gently. And then again, I'm gonna take it out and both sides nice and flat. I'm gonna get that monomer off of there. Yeah, I have a bristle coming out. Nice and easy, gentle. And I'm gonna do that same thing. I'm gonna try and fan them out. No. Oh, still got some chunkies in there. Alright, that looks pretty good. Fanning pretty well. So, and then every time I use it, I'm going to kind of dip it that same way into my monomer. So where it's crimped, that's each or either side will be the top or the bottom of your brush. So it's crimped top or bottom. So because it's crimped here, this is not going to be the top of my brush. You know, you're always going to want it flat so that you have a good flat surface, and then you have the body or the belly of the brush here. So I run my beads wet. I wish I had something that could keep this tipped for me, but that's all right. Set up, I guess. Do that. So I'm going to take and wet my bead. So this is medium setting monomer with a medium setting powder. So I'll take and show you how I do my beads first, okay? So I always get the air bubbles out of my brush by pushing it down on the bottom of my dapping dish like this. And then depending on how wet I want it, so you can see if I just pull it directly out of the monomer, that's what it looks like, right? Don't touch your monomer like that. I just needed to get that bristle or that bristle out of there. But so because I don't want it that wet, I'm gonna push once and get one drop of that monomer out of there. So this is focus. This is how wet I run my brush. And then I'm gonna take, try and get a side view for you. I'm going to take the bottom part, whichever side you want to be the bottom of your brush, and I'm going to take that and I'm just going to touch the top of the powder. 1, 2. So see, that's a beautiful bead, just like that. I'm going to wait a second, and you'll be able to see it start to polymerize. So when it starts looking kind of glossy like that, good time. So good bead right there. That's a large bead right there. So beautiful, beautiful bead right there. So, all right, let's go ahead and apply to a nail. So I'm going to start with my first finger. Okay. So do the same thing. Get my brush wet, and 1 tap to get that out of there, and then take 1, 2, and my bead, let it polymerize for a second. And I always start kind of right at where my tip is, and so you see how when I laid that out, it's wide right here. So I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to fold that back in. And alright, ladies and gents and guys and ghouls and everyone in between, we are back, and it is a new day because my camera decided to overheat and didn't freaking film most of what I did last night. So we got our beautiful friend out. What'd you say her name is again? Oh yes, this is Angelique. So everybody say hi. Hi, Angelique. Hi. This is her way of saying hi to you too. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So I do want to say thank you to the lovely subscriber that told me to use cornstarch on my hand to wash it real good and use cornstarch. She is still cold as shit and lifeless, but she will do the job. So, well, Angela over there feels a little left out, but she'll come in from time to time. So, I am going to show probably 3 fingers here. That's what I did last night of application. I'll do one with medium setting powder and medium monomer, and then I'll do one with the fast setting acrylic with the Born Pretty monomer, and then I'll do one with a medium and like a pigmented or a pigmented or glitter powder, so you can see how that does. So that's what we're gonna do. Trying to decide. I'll probably start with their pinky, that way I'm not having her cold fingers touch my skin. So I do like to most of the time have like my jar tipped, that way the powder comes forward in the jar. But so I like to take whatever it is, a lid or something, and kind of tip my jar so it's forward. So actually we'll do here, move those 2, and we'll work on the index finger. So I do have my 2 brushes here. I have my big brush and my medium sized brush. This is a 16, but it does run a little small, but that's fine with me. It doesn't really bother me. So, all right, so get medium monomer. I don't need much because I'm only going to be doing 2 nails. Probably way too much, but that's all right. So this is the NDS monomer. So anytime I'm doing acrylic, here, let me zoom in a little bit. Anytime I am doing acrylic, I always get air bubbles out of my brush. So I will always take and push my brush down like this on both sides and just kind of fan it out and get air bubbles out. And then I will take and brush that off. And then we have a nice flat brush to work with. The belly looks beautiful, or the body, whatever you want to call it. And then I like to run my brush on the wet side. So I take and I dip it and then I tap it once, and that's how wet I run my brush. So I have quite a bit of monomer in there. I have a bristle sticking out. Oh, okay. So that's how wet I run my brush. So we'll start with this index finger, and I'm gonna take the bottom side of my brush, this side, at kind of an angle like this, just so that it's flat, and I'm just gonna tap the top of my acrylic. So I tap twice. So I go 1, 2, and there's my bead. Okay, I don't care what my bead looks like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you wait, you can watch it polymerize and it'll get like shiny, kind of glistening, right? So there's a bead. I'm just gonna wipe that right there. And then when I wipe it, you see my brush is clean on both sides, because I really try to keep that. It's not an absolute must, but I try and keep that polymer, the powder, on the bottom side of my brush only. I'm not like dipping my brush into my powder. For a long time I did kind of skip it across, so I would go like boop 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 and build my bead that way. If that works for you too, that's great. It really doesn't matter, as long as you're trying to keep that polymer, the powder, on one side of your brush, so that when you put the powder on the bead, on the nail, and you kind of add a little bit of pressure and it releases, because if you have your powder on the top side of your brush too, it's not going to release from your brush. So let me shut up, quit talking. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, there's my bead. Give it a second. And when I do it, I'm going to start away from the cuticle, and I'm gonna push and release. And then I'm gonna take these outside edges that kind of spread out, and I'm gonna fold them in, and I'm gonna work on pushing this back so that it kind of fades better. And I'm gonna clean my brush, dip it again, and I have my nail pointed downwards so that the polymer, the powder, kind of runs down. And then I pat and brush at the same time. So this is again a medium setting monomer with a medium setting powder, so you can see it's giving me plenty of time to work and kind of get that acrylic right where I want it. And then once I get to the edge, I'm gonna just blend that downwards. It does not need to be perfect. And then, so you see I have time to kind of shape up here and get it exactly where I want it. And then, so I normally will try and do one nail and 3 beads. That's kind of, you know, what I've gotten into a good rhythm of doing, is 3 beads. So I'll do that main one, and then I go to the free edge and I'll lay one and I'll work it upwards, and then I will go from the cuticle down. So I'm kind of going in 3 steps, right? So this next one needs to be small, right? So I'm gonna take and dip my brush, and this time, instead of just going once here, I'm gonna go dip once on this side and then once on this side, and then that's how wet my brush is gonna be for a smaller bead. So then I'm gonna go same, I'm gonna go 1, 2, and this is gonna be my smaller bead. Give it a second and it will polymerize. And then I go in and lay, push, and then brush up. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna take these sides that have kind of fanned out, and I'm gonna fold those over, right? Fold it over, Then I'm gonna clean my brush, get it wet again, and I'm gonna start brushing upwards, okay? So fold those in. And I brush backwards. I don't like to brush a whole bunch of product off. I'm try and save as much as I can by brushing backwards. So I'll take and brush this way. And so there, that bottom, probably, you know, 9/10 of the nail is done. So I'm gonna let that dry. Now I'll go for my cuticle bead and work my way down. This one needs to be smaller, but I do like my cuticle bead to be a little more wet. I try and avoid the skin as much as possible on myself, on my daughter, on my best friend, whoever I'm doing. Don't want to do kind of overexposure to your monomer, but it's not a super huge deal. It would take a long time of like slopping this on, you know, at least in my experience, to kind of build up that allergy. So now I'm gonna take my cuticle bead, and remember, this does not have to be perfect. Like, if you see here, it's nice and smooth, but I have years of experience. Sometimes my acrylic application looks like shit, and I'm okay with that because I can file whatever I want. I can file even if it takes me an extra 10 minutes to file. That doesn't bother me, you know, as long as you're getting the product on your nail. Of course, a smooth application would be ideal, just for time's sake, but really not a huge deal. So for my cuticle bead, I'm gonna do the same thing and go side, side, and then that's how wet my brush is. But I'm gonna do one tap and leave it sitting in my acrylic a little bit longer. So one tap, boom. And this is what I'm gonna use on my cuticle bead. So this one I am going to tip down because I do want gravity to help me. I'm gonna push and release and then fold those sides in. Push this back towards the cuticle and the side walls, right? And then I'm gonna focus on working that bead down because that's also gonna give me my apex also. So fade that down, right? And then I'm gonna work this into the shape that I want it. Don't worry about that. We can put some, or put another little bead right there. It's fine, not a huge deal. So that's my kind of main piece of advice, is to not stress so much about how long it takes you, especially when you're learning, you know. Don't worry about doing something in one bead, or you know, or like I'm saying 3 beads or anything like that. So I'm going to take one little one and set it here and work it backwards. So I'm not going to work it down. I'm going to set it like this, push down. When you push down, you're putting pressure, and then when you pull up, you're releasing that bead from your brush. So just a little one. I'm going to let it sit for a second, and then I'm going to go in, push down, and pull up. And then I'm going to fold, same thing, fold these sides in, and then brush this excess off. So with a medium setting monomer and a medium setting acrylic, you're going to have plenty of time to work. So again, it's not perfect. I really do not focus too much on my acrylic application being perfectly, you know, smooth or in shape. I don't focus a lot on my sidewalls just because I can file that. Not a huge deal to me. So now let me show you this dog, I swear to God. I'm gonna push that one back. Hey guys. So let me show you a fast setting monomer and a fast setting powder. Let me put the lid on this, and if you can see, so like here I don't have a bunch of acrylic on my napkin or my table towel, because I wasn't brushing a ton off. That's where, like, I'm trying to, you know, I usually do nails way longer than this, so start off short and then work your way into doing longer nails, you know what I mean? So have her sit on there. So this one's gonna be, I do it gonna be this monomer, which to me this is a very fast setting monomer, and then we'll do the Speed Clear powder. Sorry about that dog, guys. I don't know whose dog it is. There's new people in the neighborhood. So all right. So, and I'm not gonna do filing or anything. This is literally just acrylic application, so I'm not gonna file any of these or any of that. So here is a fast setting monomer with a fast setting powder. Really want to stress how important it is to know, you know, what speed your guys' products are, because it really will make such a huge difference in your application. Because like, you don't really, it's not really something you think about. At least I didn't when I was learning, and nobody really explained to me the difference between, you know, the different speeds. It was kind of, I had to figure it out on my own. So I wish that somebody would have kind of taken the time to explain that to me. So I am going to show you on my brush again. So this is a bigger brush. Beautiful brush. Beautiful brush. So same process. I'm going to go dip and then just tap one side, and that's how wet I like to run my brush. So I'm going to go here and just pat, pat, and then see, that's already polymerized. So you're talking like so much faster, so much faster. And then you can see how on here that edge is not laying out. Like, you're gonna be surprised when I put this on nail. I don't like fast setting monomers and fast setting powders, because you literally have no time to work with them. So gonna do the same thing, you know, dip, tap once, and that's how I'm gonna run my brush. Pick up another bead, tap, tap, wait for a second, and I'm gonna get this on, and I'm gonna work that just like I would the other one. But you can see this one's not running, so like you can see it's hardly moving. I have no time to work with this. So if you're a beginner and you start out with, you know, a fast setting acrylic polymer and then a fast setting monomer, you're gonna get so frustrated and not know what the hell you're doing, because this, like, I can't do anything with that. So I literally have to build my nail and and there's some people that are amazing with the fast setting products, but I am not one of those. They make me so mad. I like to take my time and put stuff where I want it. So like you can see here, that monomer is evaporating very fast. So there's the fast setting. I really don't like fast setting. So again, know your products. Even if you're just doing this at home, you know, do a little bit of reading like that. So that's all that's left of that monomer. Here in a second, it'll all be on. You can see that drying up, right? So now I'm gonna put this away because I'm not even gonna waste any more of my time trying to build up a nail with this. So this, I generally try and only use this. Sometimes I grab it on accident, but for like, I use this for charms, or like if I know if I have like a spot on my nail that I just need covered up real quick, I'll pull this out and you know, do something with that. But this is very good acrylic, and with a, you know, with a medium setting monomer, I mean powder, this, it does work if you are more experienced and know what you're doing. But same goes with like Savvyland. Savvyland to me is a faster setting monomer, so just keep that in mind when you're ordering stuff. There are several beauty supply places that you can buy, you know, different monomers from. Look how beautiful that powder is. Ooh, beautiful. So we'll do one here with the medium setting monomer, and here, let me scoot this back a little bit. So we'll do her ring finger with the medium setting monomer and a medium setting pigmented powder. So same goes for your pigmented powders. They do take a little bit longer to set, so keep that in mind. This nail would take longer to set than, you know, if I was just doing clear or anything like that. So I'm going to do a thin layer with any pigmented powder. I do a thin layer. I don't worry about structure or anything like that. I get it on the nail and then I encapsulate with clear. So I do want this to be, you know, semi-cured before I go in with the clear. So I am going to run my brush a little bit less wet on this one. So so we'll go and dip, tap, tap, and then 1, 2, there's my bead. I'm gonna take it, set it, push. You can see this one's a lot stiffer too, which is totally okay. A lot stiffer, but gives you a lot more time to kind of work things down. So I'm gonna brush and pat, brush and pat. Then when I get down here, I'm gonna take and clean my brush off, get some more monomer on there, and I'm gonna start brushing this back. Because like I said, I try not to waste a whole bunch of product. And then here, because we flooded, we're gonna clean this off. And then I'm gonna go around here and just kind of shape that by patting stuff into place. Not worried about that cuticle. I will go back in with one more bead and get that cuticle. But with a medium setting monomer and a medium setting powder, you have plenty of time, and it's not gonna move a whole bunch on you either. So beautiful. Beautiful. So there's that. I'm gonna give it a second, because if I were to take and just kind of slap another bead on top of this without it being a little more set, it's gonna push all of this outwards. And then this is just color. This is pigment from the powder. That's not actual product on there. So you can see if I take my brush and I just clean it off right, I still am able to like watch, like that's still not set. I could go in a couple more times with my brush being wet and, you know, shape it, pat it, do whatever I want. And like I said before, this is just how I do things. If you do things differently and they work well for you, that's amazing. Let me know about it. I would love to try, you know, what works for other people. So see, I was able to, if I wanted to kind of set that bead a little further back close to the cuticle, I could have done that whole nail, that whole coverage in one bead. So you can see here where it's starting to set, right? It's getting that kind of matte texture, and this is that glistening kind of glossy color, so that means that it's not even started setting yet. So there you go. You can see this side is starting to set too. So I'll give it one more minute probably, and then go in with my cuticle bead. And then after this sets, you know, then you would go in with your clear and clear cap that, and that's where you would build your structure and all of that. So yeah, we got our clear here. That's the fast setting one, which bleh, I don't like it. But again, personal preference. I don't like it. I'm not good at it. I'm not embarrassed to say I'm not good at it. Like I said, I like to take my time with things. So that's more set. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a small bead and work that on the cuticle. So with a small bead, I'm gonna go dip, tap, tap. So this is how dry my brush is, okay? And then I'm just gonna take this corner of my brush right here, this edge of my brush, and that's what I'm gonna dip in here. So 1, 2, that's all I need for this. And then I'm gonna set that right at that edge, and I'm gonna push this back around the cuticle and anywhere that I have missed. And we can clean up whatever we need to. Brush this down, and there is my cuticle bead. So, not on her cuticle. It's gonna give me enough space to, you know, seal that in. So that's how I do it. And then I would take and clear cap with a clear. So now that you've seen kind of what a different, I wish I had an odorless or a low odor monomer just to show that and show that kind of inhibition or dispersion layer on top of it. But just know when starting out, if you do go for, you know, a low odor or an odorless, that you will have kind of a tacky layer. So it won't sound like that. It'll be gummy almost. So just file that off, and underneath that will be your hard acrylic. You're not doing anything wrong. It's totally normal. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video. So everybody, shout out to Angelique here. She's really not too bad. And thank you again for the beautiful woman that told me about using cornstarch. That's why you see kind of all this little white stuff here, but she's not sticky anymore. Nothing hardly sticks to her, so really nice. So yeah, let me know what you think, or if any of this has helped you in any way, any of the info, any of that. And like always, guys, you guys are amazing. I appreciate you. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. I hope you have the best weekend ever. I love you, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.